Call to order the December 10th, 2025 meeting of the Elementary School Building Committee. This meeting is being held virtually pursuant to the Governor's Executive Order of 2020 that's been extended several times by statute. And it will be video recorded and available online. I don't know about online, but it'll be recorded also by Stoughton Media Access. And I don't know if it's broadcast live, but I certainly know that they broadcast our meetings videotaped and after several times. Having said that, first order of business is public comment. This is the period of the meeting when we invite people from the public to address the committee. If you have any questions or comments, because of the open meeting law, it's not something that we can discuss and vote on at this particular meeting, but if it's pertinent to the project and important, it's certainly something that we can consider for a future agenda. And we welcome all people and always have to address the committee. If you have any questions or comments to the committee, at the top of your screen, you'll see a little icon of a hand that says raise. If you click that, Eric Rubin will recognize you in order and he will unmute your microphone. If you have any statements or comments, please limit them to 2 minutes. We're not going to cut anybody off, but we don't want any, we do have to get to business also. So anybody wish to address the committee? I'll give it 3 calls and then I'll move on. Second call, anybody? Third, last call. Hearing none. You're welcome to do so at a future meeting, or you're welcome to ask any questions or comments, send any comments through the school building committee, school building project website, or I think there's a question portal also, or on social media. Item 3 on the agenda is acceptance of the minutes of. I wasn't here last meeting, Eric. I think the meeting I was at before then, I asked to table unanimously the minutes. So I assume you voted on those and we're just doing the minutes of November.
That's right. We approved
Okay.
3 minutes in the last meeting, September, and 2 from October. The last meeting was on November 12th.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of November 12th? Has everybody reviewed those? Do you have any questions, changes, comments? I'm going to recuse myself from the vote since I wasn't present and I haven't reviewed the tape. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of November, you said 12th, Eric?
That's right.
November 12th.
Motion to approve the minutes, November 12th.
Great. Second? Thank you,
Second.
Fran Brutnitti.
Second.
Thank you.
So I have to call rolls, of course, because we're doing this virtually. I'm going to speed through. Please have your mic unmuted and audibly respond yes or no when I call your name. Dr. Baeta,
Aye.
Joseph Buckley,
Aye.
Fran Brutnitti,
Aye.
Tom Coulter, Jillian DeStefano,
Aye.
Diane Dolan. I saw Diane, didn't I?
Yeah, her mic's off.
Okay.
Now my
Okay.
mic's off. Sorry. Aye.
No worries, Diane. Jake Dorr.
Aye.
Congratulations to Jake Dorr on a newborn. Leo
Thank you,
Fay.
Jake.
I'll recuse. I was not there.
Okay. Sandra Gropey. Okay, I didn't see Craig Horsfall, Lynn Jordan,
Aye.
Melissa Lynch.
I will abstain. I missed a portion of the meeting. My
Sure.
apologies.
No worries, Julie Miller,
Aye.
Katie Monahan,
Aye.
Anne Marie Raymond, TJ Recupero abstains, Dennis Rigo,
Aye.
Mark Tisdale, Joel Wolk,
Aye.
and Pat Yanikowski.
Aye.
Great. It's a unanimous vote. Item 4, invoice approval, vendor's invoice package, Joel Wolk. Do you have?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fran Brutonetti, Anne Marie Raymond, and I met with Vertex yesterday, December 9th, for a detailed review of the invoices presented in the VIP package. After the review, we found them to be reasonable and in accordance with corresponding contract requirements. Therefore, I move that the building committee recommend approval of the following invoices. Vertex invoice OPM 119-37 for $46,625. GR invoice 22 for $561,840. And WT Rich application number 2 for $21,900 for a total amount of $630,365.
Second.
That's great. Motion made and second, and I think we'll hear later in the meeting what went into all that. So are there any questions on the invoices? Vendor invoice package went out a few days ago. No questions? And there was a motion and second, right? I'm flipping through and I apologize if I missed that. Who seconded?
I did. Fran.
Fran, thanks, Fran.
Yeah.
All right, hearing no comments, questions, I'm going to run through the roll again. Dr. Baeta,
Aye.
Joe Buckley,
Aye.
Fran Brutonetti,
Aye.
Tom Coulter, Steve Cavey, Jillian DeStefano,
Aye.
Diane Dolan,
Aye.
Jake Dorr. I know Jake's here, but I'll move on. Leo Fay,
Aye.
Sandra Gropey, Craig Horsfall, Lynn Jarden,
Aye.
Melissa Lynch,
Aye.
Julie Miller,
Aye.
Katie Monahan,
Aye.
Anne Marie Raymond, TJ Recupero votes aye, Dennis Rego,
Aye.
Mark Tisdale, Joel Wolk,
Aye.
Pat Yanikowski,
Aye.
and another call for Jake if he's here. Well, let the record show Jake has a newborn, so if he's not at his computer, the record will reflect why. Great. Moving on. Project and MSBA updates. Eric, Tim, and Brian, I guess.
Yeah, I'll take it. Thanks, TJ. So to start, the MSBA issued us some comments on the design development package that we submitted last month. That was a couple weeks ago. We submitted our responses on Monday. The significant item in that response was the requirement to resubmit the DESI package, the DESI submittal. And that was required by the addition of changing tables in the special education rooms. So that there was a narrative that was updated, which required the plans to be updated, and that's what warranted the resubmission. So DRA has been working with the district to finalize that resubmittal, and we will be getting that back to them at the end of the week. The next items on the list are the basically where we stand with in the design currently in 60% CDs, and then moving into the early bid packages. So I have a calendar that I am going to share to kind of walk us through that. Just give me a moment. Okay. Can you guys see what I'm sharing?
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Make it a little bigger if possible, if we can see it.
Is that
Yeah,
the
let me-
changing table we had to vote on? Sorry, did I say that out loud?
Jake approves.
Is that, we should name it the Jake Door changing table. Sorry, Jake.
All right, so on this calendar here is well, kind of based off the permitting calendar that I presented last month or the month before. So the new items that we've added in green here, we received, well, DRA sent the 60% construction document package to the estimators, the pricing package to the estimators on Friday. They'll have those, they'll be reviewing those for a few weeks, and we are expecting the estimators to return their estimates on January 5th. And on the 9th, we have a reconciliation. We'll probably meet with them a week or two before, actually, a week or two to do a brief page turn and just make sure they're on the same page. But also upcoming is the release of the early trade packages. And we're still kind of working out the timing of those with WT Rich and DRA and the subconsultants, but on Monday, next Monday, the first package is going to go out to the bidders, and we'll supplement that package with addendum as needed. As the design is, we're still kind of pushing that 60% design package in the coming weeks, and as we have more information, we'll add that to what's out on the street. But and also kind of moving forward in January, the final reconciled estimates are due back to us on the 16th, which is 1 week after the reconciliation. And then we are looking at potentially moving the SBC meeting next month in January to the 21st off of the typical second Wednesday of the month to the third Wednesday of the month to give us move a little bit closer to the date that we're submitting the 60% design package to the MSBA. So we would be hopefully targeting a draft around the 16th of January to get to you guys for review, similar to what we did with the design development package. And then we will clean that up over the week before the submission and submit that to the MSBA on the 30th. And if I missed anything, Vertex, DRA, or WT.
I think the only comment, Eric, I'd make is on the progress we did on the MSBA, or the the meeting we had yesterday with the MSBA. Maybe you want to just quickly.
Yes. Yeah. So we also had a call with the MSBA yesterday, and it was a design development wrap up call. It was really more for the Fano Drive, making sure we have everything lined up with the Fano Drive site design. So their requirement from previously when we met with them was that we have a few things lined up. There's a site approval form, and we basically need to prove, we're going to have town council endorse basically a statement that we're going to have that says we are confident that we do not need a MEPA review, and we also are not going to have any environmental impacts that would trigger another environmental review. So we're working with Samiotis and the design team to put that together, and we'll get that from town council and have them review it and get it back to the MSBA shortly. And the last two items that we're going to have to submit to them are just an updated schedule and cash flow. So that should be hopefully everything that we need to get to them for our land transfer. And the last, and then we'll also let them know when the deeds are, when the deeds have been sent to the registry, which we're hoping is finally complete at the end of next week. So select board they're going to have to vote probably next Tuesday on just to approve and sign off on the two deeds, the one that we're sending out and the one that we're receiving. And then those can be brought to the registry shortly after.
Yeah, and I would add as I would with this committee, it's such a fortunate to have TJ as chairman, because he's first of all shepherding this whole process through on the land transfer. But also, because of his background, he knows what needs to happen there, and has saved us money in terms of getting all that stuff done. So and I'm putting in hours of work. So thank you, TJ, for all your help with that.
welcome. It'll be done soon. It's actually, we have signatures, half the signatures done, half remaining next Tuesday. It'll be done shortly. So all good.
That's why he makes the big bucks.
He'll double his salary now, right, Joe?
Triple.
Oh, sorry, Joe had his hand up, and I have one question too, or comment more than anything. Joe Baeta?
Thanks, man. Thanks, TJ. I just wanted to make sure that the 48-hour notice with the select board is met. If you're in fact going in front of them next week or whatever week you're going, because that's always a timetable crunch, making sure that we meet that 48-hour minimum. So at least getting it on the agenda, even if you're not there, and is important that you do this week.
It's got a placeholder already, Joe, and I'm delivering documents to town, the board secretary, Gilda, tomorrow morning.
That's the reason why we appreciate your free work.
I had one point more than anything, not a question, but so one of the comments today was from, not today, but yesterday, was about how natural heritage triggers MIPA, which wasn't a point to argue, but tomorrow we're going in front of the Concom, and I would assume they'll approve or they'll endorse on the record that there's no protected habitat encompassing the site. Because town council isn't going to want to opine that baldly. It would be nice if the Concom would state that on the record tomorrow. Just a suggestion.
Stay what on the record, TJ, again?
That there's no protected habitat on the
Okay,
property.
yeah.
I think, TJ, that their purview is limited to wetlands and wetland protection, and we'll have our environmental scientists provide something that will reassure the town council about that there are no areas of habitat priority or rare species.
I mean, you can go online and do it, but an attorney doesn't like to do that. An attorney wants to rely on some scientist to say it or a board to state it in the record. So that's better still. So that was the only hitch that I saw, that they were presuming that there's some sort of habitat determination, and not a point to fight, but.
No, it was based on the MSBA's previous approval, the board's approval of our schematic design. Nowadays, they're sort of super sensitive to permitting issues. So when they approve schematics, if there are still permits to be gotten, like MIPA or Conservation Commission or conditioned, or they now list those in their approval of the projects. And at the time, I guess our consultants were sort of super conservative, saying there may be something on natural heritage site, because that site is updated, I think annually. So between now and when we start construction, there's a potential that something could be there. So that it was mentioned, and MSBA picked up on that immediately. He said,
I didn't know that. I apologize. I didn't know that there's something was mentioned.
Yeah, I think it just being conservative, it was mentioned the same way MIPA was mentioned at the time because of our previous design. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I have one other question for Eric and to the committee. So we haven't had a public forum in quite some time. As Eric was running through the schedule, I'll give you my own thoughts. I think after the second planning board hearing, which would be the second week in January, so probably the first week in February, might be a nice time to have something, and that would be after our MSBA filing too. Anybody have any thoughts on that? That would seem to be a pretty good time. And I think this is a question for Joel Wolk. I think that would be before the FinCom gets into budget hearings. Right?
Okay.
No, I'm asking.
Yeah, we don't do budget hearings until February, March.
So later in the month. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe
Town meeting is the beginning of May,
Yeah.
And we have to be done about 30 days prior to town meeting, so.
So maybe, how about this? I'm going to toss that out and we could pick that up at the end of the meeting. You can roll it around in your heads and maybe first week in February, some sort of comprehensive public forum. And I just wanted to, while the schedule is up, I just wanted to say why I suggested that particular time frame. All right, moving on, there are a couple hands up. So Joel Wolk, you had your hand up.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of very quick questions if I could.
Sure.
For Vertex, do you have any idea where we stand with the public project funding agreement?
That was part of the reason for meeting with the MSBA yesterday. So they are working on a project funding agreement, and those items that they requested that I was kind of explaining earlier are the final things that they need before they can finalize that agreement.
Okay, but you did a cash flow for the town accountant based on us having it earlier, I think. Do we need to redo the cash flow?
Yeah, I actually update the cash flow every month, and I will send them, and we actually have sent them since we've switched to the Fano design, we've sent them another cash flow, but I will send them an up-to-date cash flow as of right now with the updated schedule as well. So we'll give them the most current documents.
Okay, thank you. And I had a chance to review very quickly the 60% documents that were provided. And I have a couple of very quick questions. On the site drawings, there's something called a proposed building. Could anybody tell me what that is?
We could call it the Joyce Memorial Garage. It's a future storage garage because the existing South School has a little bit of storage space there that the district would be losing. And she felt like we should make provision for potential replacement. So it's not currently in the scope to actually build anything there, but we want to reserve that as a potential, as I say, future building. It could potentially be a pre-engineered metal building even as a garage. But
well,
we're just bringing, or not precluding it from happening in the future, put it that way.
Well, there's going to be certain items that the custodial staff is going to need for outside maintenance. Typically, there's a small, Carl, I know I've done projects with you where you put a small room in the building itself, accessed only from the outside. But if we don't have that maintenance building there, where's Dennis going to store his stuff?
We do have some small storage space by the loading dock on this project too. But yeah, any kind of vehicle of a snow plow or, a snow blower could fit in that space, but a snow plow, a tractor or something would need a home. And that's what that future garage would be for.
Okay. So my inclination is to take and see if we can keep it under this appropriation, but.
Well, it would be nice, to perhaps consider it as an alternate or, if bids come in under the budget, we could include it in this project.
Okay, and the other thing I noticed on the site drawings was that you have 15 electric vehicle charging stations. Is that mandated by the state?
Not exactly. There is a certain number mandated by the state, but there's a slightly higher number, I think, that was going to get us one lead point, if I recall. So the number mandated by the state was something like, was it 2% of the total parking spaces? It was more like 6 or 7 spaces as opposed to 15 or the 15 represents 10% of the parking spaces, which I think gives us a lead point. So.
Yeah, there's 2 thresholds. One is for actual charging stations, and then we have to actually make provisions for future stations as part of the code too. So the
provisions
cost,
I can see, but I guess my question to either Julie or Dennis, we have 2 at the high school, I believe. Are those being used a lot?
No, we've had some issues with them as far as getting them up and running. We're actually in the process of replacing one of the units because that unit controls all the others. So once we get that, everything should be up and running.
Okay. All right, and the last question I had, I think I've asked before, but I want to just confirm it. One of the site drawings shows the traffic controls out on actually Route 27, Park Street. And my question is, are we going to have W.T. Rich do those, or is the town engineer going to want to do it as a separate contract that he controls?
We had a preliminary meeting with Mark Tisdale and a traffic consultant to discuss the intersection and the whole discussion with the Department of Transportation. We don't even know for certain that that there's going to be a signal approved there, but so it didn't come up at the time as to who would actually do the work, Joel, but we did want to include the work as part of this project, at least in the budget, one way or another. It's in there right now. The controller, the mast, the crosswalk and pavement markings and all that.
Okay, I mean, I've had problems when either the GC or the CM has to go out on a main street and do the traffic controls. But okay.
Yeah. Well, we certainly expect police details and coordination with the town and so forth before any work happens there.
Okay. I think the installer will have to be Mass DOT certified, so that's something that whoever W.T. Rich, if we move forward, they'll have to make sure that they're certified with Mass DOT to do that.
That's what I was thinking.
Great.
Yeah, that's why I had the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so is W.T. Rich here now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you guys ever done traffic controls like this before?
No.
Cool.
It could be the requirement that the site subcontractor hires a subcontractor who is certified if they're not themselves.
Yeah, usually it's a special subcontractor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
All right.
Joel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Joel. Dr. Maeda, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I did, because I do want to go back and have a further discussion about what has become the equivalent of what I would call the Stoughton Big Dig. And that is the issue of what are they called? God, it just went through my over at the high school, the car things, the
EV chargers.
EV chargers.
Thank you. So we're in 2025, about to enter 2026, and we've had a limited amount of time that those were actually working. We're entering year 7 since the high school opened. Part of it is they're all the spaces all connected to one major charger that controls the other charger. So when that charger goes down, all go down. 2, we couldn't get an agreement on everything to do with setting up the system, so we had to establish policies. That was my first year in Stoughton, which was 2023, 2024. Then it became the issue of where does the funding go? So we had to go through that process. And now we're at a $22,000 fix for those items.
Wow.
But we're waiting on that because most of that will be waived via grants, and it's only going to cost us about $2,500. I just want to go on record to say the company that we're working with right now should have no way be involved in the new elementary project. In no way. And I know that that's hard. That's a hard statement to make. That company should not be involved in Stoughton Public Schools.
Joe, can I ask a question? Do we own those units and we contract with a company that does what? They monitor the use?
Yeah. So there's a monitoring, but there's a charging process. So you go there, you enter your information, and then that goes through back to the general fund. because that's the process, right? Any fees that come in through something like that. And so we just, I mean, it has been a disaster. I'm just going on record to tell you it's been a disaster. Now I'm getting a lot of pressure points about statements that I've made around we're trying to make that work. We have tens upon tens of emails, phone calls, communications. And the company that we're working with, which has a monopoly on this, is a disaster to work with. Disaster. I want to note it that Stoughton Public Schools should have nothing to do with this company if we can get away with it, because it's been a disaster. No return phone calls, no return emails, month after month, day after day. Because Dennis will tell you, there's nothing I've been writing him on more than this topic. And here it is, I'm in my third year. June will be the end of my third year, and they are still not working appropriately.
I got a call on that too, Joe, probably from the same person, one of the same people that called you.
Correct.
Yeah. So
And it's I get it, but it's a
another
disaster.
question, Joe. So to use those, is there a fee paid by the user?
Correct. That is correct. There's a process where the funds are collected by the town. We worked out a deal about how those funds will be utilized for the potential purposes of any, fixing and updates that need to be done and all of that stuff. So all of that's been resolved. It took a while because neither side really knew what needed to happen. It was something that was kind of dropped in the process, which is fine. I mean, it is what it is, but it just hasn't been a lot of fun, and we're getting our butts kicked.
It's not Charge Point, is it, Joe?
It is.
No. They have like a monopoly in certain way. Yeah.
Yeah, I would since I'm retiring, I'm happy to sit there and collect a 1 cent per hour charge to make it work. I mean, we're getting beat up pretty good as a school system about why this isn't working.
Is it mandatory that we have to have these charging stations?
Some of them.
It is part of the new energy code that there's a certain number that have to be installed and a certain additional number, as Courtney mentioned, that are just like EV ready, supposedly. But
Right.
how you manage them, how you pay for them, whether you give away the electricity, whether you franchise it out to a provider, is up to the district.
We don't even know how $22,000 becomes a charge for fixing this. I mean, it's just as far as we're concerned, it's like, okay, if we do this, and oh, by the way, now we're going to get you Charge Point says we're going to get you a grant through all the sustainability stuff, and so all of a sudden the charge goes from 22,000 and change to 2,000 and change, which is great, but we have to wait another 60 days. So those 60 days are coming upon us in January. If that doesn't happen, then I'm right back to what it is. So I don't want to belate this point. We're just getting killed on this issue.
Can I just Joel will back me up on this. So actually, a number of people can back me up on this, but our grant on the high school and on this school includes a point, I think it is, Carl, Courtney, for green energy, for a baseline of green energy components. And aside from the building code, which requires a certain number of charging stations, our grant amount is tied to maintaining certain green energy components and meeting a baseline, so that we actually, in the grand scheme, someone can correct me if I misstate this, we actually, I hate to say make money, but we reduce the cost to the taxpayer by having those, even though they don't work in their horror show and should work. And I'm confident Joel will hound somebody so that they do, but they weren't installed uselessly, as I guess my point.
Well, that's the theory, and I know Joyce worked on it. Courtney probably has a better remembrance about them and whether they went to the green points. Did they, Courtney? I think they did, didn't they?
They did for both the high school, and they will also contribute for the elementary school too in terms of reimbursement.
Well, I just thought it was a large number of charging stations for an elementary school.
Could we find another, if it's only one out of the 50 points or 40 points, can we find another one? If people don't want to do that many?
Well, we could potentially reduce it, but we still have to have them based on code requirements that are
Right, but it's
independent.
a lot less, but you're right, we would
Yeah.
still have to,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean, sometimes, I mean, if they're not being used, and and they're on driving electric cars, then why create a bigger problem if we could find another way to get that point?
Well, I
Well, I
guess the
know-
question
I
is,
know a couple-
would the use be there if
If
they
they
worked, right? Like if they work, people would
Yeah.
probably be utilizing them full time right now, is my
I
guess.
think the theory is that teachers would buy electric vehicles and charge them while they were at school.
Exactly.
But that's the theory, and I don't think there are going to be 15 teachers that are going to suddenly show up with electric vehicles. I may be wrong. I think if you had 15 vehicle charging positions at the high school, I could see that servicing both teachers and students. But
Mhm.
any event, so I'm in favor of reducing the number if we don't have to do them all.
There's no issue. We know this school has to be functioning for another 30 to 50 plus years. So in terms of looking ahead into the future and when you do have funding for the project, we have them in right now, but if we need to reduce it to the bare minimum, we can also look at that.
Well, the past couple of projects, Courtney, I've done over the past, say, 7 or 8 years, we basically just run the conduit out to where the charging station is going to be, and we put a pull string in it, and we just left it there.
Right.
Mhm.
So those would be the EV ready ones versus
Right.
the actual stations, right?
Right.
Also,
Okay.
too, it's an operational thing too, as to whether you can still park at those spots, even if you don't have an electric vehicle. If there's no demand for them, you shouldn't be losing spaces if that's a worry too. So we should keep that in mind.
I'm suddenly sorry I asked the question.
Well, the district is not alone in wrestling with this. We can tell you, virtually every project we've had, there's been some challenges one way or another with EV chargers. Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on project and MSBA updates? And I think we sort of included design and permitting updates in that same category, or is there more to cover on that?
I think we
Well,
started
we
to
could just be
segue,
a
but
little more inclusive if
Okay.
you want to go over the schedule, Courtney, as to what's upcoming. We've got dates for Conservation Commission starting tomorrow and
Sure.
Planning Board.
So moving on to item 6, design and permitting updates.
Yeah, let's jump over to that. So the next upcoming meeting is tomorrow night on December 11th. There will be a Conservation Commission hearing. So DRA will be in attendance along with our civil engineer, Samiotis, our environmental engineer. Epsilon will also be there, as well as our landscape architect, Warner Larson, and Vertex will be in attendance as well. So that's the next upcoming one. We do have a planning board hearing on December 18th. That'll be the first of 2 anticipated hearings. The second one will be on January 22nd. So we're expecting comments back from Conservation Commission on December 15th, which will be next week, which is a nice quick turnaround. And we're hoping that everything times out well with all of our early packages going out as well. We didn't really touch on the Mass DOT submittal. We did turn in that 25% submittal, and we did receive comments back from them on that submittal. They did notify us that we did not trigger a full signal at Park Street, but they also didn't tell us that we couldn't do it. So we are looking into next steps and trying to approach this in a way that gives them the right kind of information that they can actually approve that signal.
I think if we, since the planning board meeting is next week, and the comment, and this is for Joe, for Dr. Baeta, the comments that were included from the engineering review extended, sort of talked about beyond our project limits for Fano Drive, about putting lights down to Sumner, and about And it's not clear, but it looks like maybe even extending sort of road preparation down that length, which of course if somebody could with the cursor show, our limit of work is really right there. And we haven't planned on anything extending Fano Drive beyond any kind of utility at all beyond that. So I think the question is whether that is opening up a slippery slope around extending the scope of work. And, I just want to make sure because we are going to be asked about it, I'm assuming, in the planning board, given the engineering department's comments, which they had indicated, Dr. Baeta, that it was a school department request. And I'm not sure if you meant it that strongly unless I missed it.
In terms of the Fano Drive extension?
Yeah. There's a comment that says extending lights down it.
To
For-
Sumner Street or
For
from Park Street?
pedestrians, perhaps.
Just Sumner.
No, the school department will always request that we have an emergency option. That's the only request that we have.
Okay,
We do
that was
not
mine.
have, we have never spoken about lights on the end of Fano and Sumner. That's always been above and beyond the scope of the school committee, the superintendent of schools, or even the building committee. That's a whole different project as far as I'm concerned. The issue for us is, do we have the ability on a school project to have an emergency opportunity, yes or no? And both with Fano Drive and then the prior situation that we argued for is, it's an opportunity to have a secondary emergency exit. That's it. There's everything beyond that is beyond the scope of this project and beyond my abilities, if you will, or rights.
It may be the inference, Joe, was that pedestrians might use that as an access to the school.
Right.
And-
So
and would they
yeah.
be traveling at any time when it's dark? I
yeah.
guess.
So I think this comes from my my typical Joe Baeta wise guy comments when I said I have no responsibility as superintendent to what happens to what you do with your kids after 3 o'clock and walking that area and so on and so forth. If you remember that comment that I made where I said, parents need to parent. I didn't allow my child to be out at a dark place. So my argument here is that we're looking at this as simply a secondary exit in case of a significant emergency to the school, A, and B, yes, we will put some type of a camera there for safety and a gate, but beyond that, everything else belongs to parents and the community. It does not belong to us as a school system. So no, there's no desire to place anything else on there. It's beyond the scope. We're not in charge of roads right now. That Fano Drive is basically the same entranceway that I have in almost every single one of my elementary schools or schools. It's an entrance into the school, and it comes to a dead end, if you will, unless it's being used for, it's not a traditional road, if you will.
Good. Okay, that's good to know because we can make that point during our initial meeting with them in 2 weeks
Yeah.
or a week, in 1 week.
I should probably keep my parenting comments to myself.
Good. That's all I wanted to clarify.
Eric briefly touched on these dates for our early packages, but just as a heads up to everyone, we anticipate turning in a 60% MSBA submission set at the end of January. Our hope is that we can actually shift this meeting to the 21st for January in lieu of the 14th, so that the cost estimates can be approved and we can report back on the progress of the work at that point. So that's something that we would like to request for January as a January 21st meeting. And then Eric sent this out with the package to everybody earlier in the week. And we just wanted to know if people were able to, if it was user friendly, first of all, with the QR codes, and if you were able to use your smartphones to scan the QR codes and check out the various spaces. This is one of the things that I promised last month after I kind of fell flat on my face trying to navigate through our 3D model. But this is something that everyone should be able to use, with your smartphone, scan the QR code, and you're actually able to kind of spin around and utilize your phone kind of like looking at our 3D model and what it looks like inside the building. So just so everyone's aware, these aren't reflective of colors that have been picked on the inside of the building. It's just, looking at the space and at the volume, the different elements inside. So I'd love to hear feedback. You can test it if you haven't tested it already. I urge you to test it all. You don't have to do it tonight, but send me some feedback and let me know if you have any issues with any of them. You do have to accept or allow the website. There's a couple buttons that come up as soon as you take the picture with your camera.
Well, it does work.
It does.
Nice. Yeah, we thought it'd be most useful for like the learning commons space and the cafeteria, those high volume spaces, but it's fun for the other ones too, like the collaboration and the gym. And Jeff, we'll get this to you. We didn't want to send it out to the public yet because there are a couple of modifications that we want to make to some of the spaces before it goes live, I guess, if you will, and we'll print up a board so that can be in the admin area too. And that's all we had for tonight.
Any questions? I had one. I want to limit this to just the process and the documents and none of the substance because it's not before the committee. But I know that there was a proposal for an extended traffic study. Don't want to discuss any of the substance of that because it's not before the committee. But has it been settled that we're doing that? I didn't recall that part. Or is that just for discussion later?
It's just in anticipation of discussion with Mass DOT. One way we can meet the warrant to justify a traffic light there is if Fano Drive were to become a public street, which we envision, perhaps in some 5 to 10 years it will be, the volume of traffic there may change and would then substantiate a traffic light. The issue right now is that with just the school being the only traffic there, basically morning arrival and afternoon pickup of kids, for a state highway, that's not frequent enough or high enough volume to justify interrupting the traffic on Route 27 on Park Street. So that's why we just anticipate we might need that. So we did ask to get it in advance so that we'd be ready to pull the trigger quickly if it seemed like that would be a prudent thing to do to justify what everyone wants.
That's how I thought it was, Carl. But when I read the proposal, I thought it sort of read to me like it was a future for approval sort of thing. But and again, I don't want to get into the substance, but the committee will all see this in the future. I did have one comment going through it. I'm wondering if there's like a hybrid approach to that, whether the school without Fano Drive would trigger a different warrant on a different intersection. That actually, I will get into the substance for this. I'm going to say Turnpike and Park, for example.
Yeah.
If you have, so many cars going down Turnpike and turning right and left, of course, but right to get to the school, that doesn't necessarily need a light, but would the volume trigger improvements there as opposed to at the intersection of Fano? I would, of all the things that I've missed over the last week, that thing I did go through pretty extensively, that proposal, and it made me think of some things that I hadn't before. So.
Yeah, of course, it's all a bit of crystal ball here because without a real redistricting plan, it's hard to know exactly where traffic's going to be coming from to the new school. There's no existing catchment area right now to quantify. So we're using sort of standardized numbers. It's hard to that can be used to justify or project the volume, but it's hard to know where that volume's coming from. Yeah.
Well, and I brought up the Turnpike and Park Street intersection specifically because if you ask Mark Tisdale, there is a study for improvements at that intersection.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an actual design.
Yeah, our consultant's aware of that. Yeah.
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 It's not signaled to my knowledge, but
Mm-hmm.
all right, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you for that. So,
Thanks.
any other questions on the design update? Hearing none. Anything else from the project team? Hearing nothing. I want to get
Joel
back
have his
quickly.
hand raised? Joel has
Oh,
his hand raised.
He did.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Who did Joe? I don't see it here, but
Joel.
go ahead. Oh,
Joel,
Joel.
Joel Walt,
Go ahead, Joel.
soon to be grandfather.
Yes.
A couple of weeks ago, Mr. Chairman, we had a meeting of the working group and where we discussed the security system in the new elementary school. And that raised some questions. I reviewed the drawings. I also sent them on to Lynn Jardin, and she looked at them too. And the thing that kind of raised my eyebrows is that we have a number of what they call card readers to allow you access to various parts of the building. At the high school, we had 8 card readers. At a middle school I did a few years ago, we had 9 card readers. This school has 45 card readers. So the card readers are expensive because they have to be wired and you have to get special locks for them. Also, you have to have probably some kind of maintenance contract. So they could be expensive. And I wanted to make sure that prior to us going forward with the 45 card readers, that the community of the Stoughton community understands why they're in there and how that is going to make the school work. So I did send an email to you, TJ, requesting that at a future meeting, or even better, if you're going to have a public meeting, that this could be explained so that everybody knows what's going on before they open the school.
I know the project team has discussed that offline. Maybe, I don't know when the next working group is, but maybe if all questions can be answered then, and we can report that, put that on the agenda and report the answer to this question or discuss, doesn't matter, but because I think Joel raises a good question, and now that he did, we have to answer it for the public, so.
Perhaps TJ too, it might want to tie in with when we get feedback from the cost estimate, if it's, if there's a question of cost balancing with security too, we could have more informed decisions being made.
Great. Joel, good question. Anything else, Joel?
No, that was it.
I have to say, I
I
rely on you going through the plans in such detail. And I did on the high school too, so thank you for that.
Well, I got a couple of other questions, but with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'm
No,
going to
please go ahead.
No, I'm going to just email it. These are small questions. I'll email it to Courtney.
Okay. All right. If there any other questions from the committee? Anything else from the project team? Oh,
TJ,
Joe
just real
Biden?
quick,
Yeah,
TJ,
please.
I have been attending a couple of national meetings recently online on school safety, and I will tell you that the card reader issue is becoming more prevalent as a topic at the elementary level than it is at the secondary level. So, and I'll get some research to the working group on that, on why that's coming up. Not something that I was really as aware of until recently, but I'll get that information to you so you can share it with the group.
That's great. also for the public, and we've been through this on this committee, but we went through it extensively on the high school. Some of the things security-wise, we can't discuss in open session, but we can touch on sort of generally. So if you're looking for certain details on everything, some things we can't give you for obvious reasons, hopefully obvious reasons. Anybody else from the committee? Anything from the project team? And if there's nothing, I did want to return to that, the idea of a comprehensive public forum or public project update for beginning of February, before we get into town meeting business and after we've been through a round of site plan review and had our MSBA filing. That seemed to be the in my mind at least, the most the best time for it, so we weren't coming with incomplete work or work in progress and had something actually to report. Any thoughts on nights of the week? If not, I'm just going to say, how about Wednesday, that first week of February at 7 p.m. and we'll do it hybrid. Jeff Pickett, please.
I was actually going to say, suggest not doing Wednesday because I'm looking at our facilities calendar and we have several PTO meetings that night.
Okay.
At the middle school, South School, Wilkins. So at least 3 of our schools have PTO meetings right when we would want to be doing that.
Jeff, what's Thursday nights look like?
Thursday the 5th. I don't see anything event-wise in the calendar. I see, no, I just see like winter guard rehearsals.
Right.
Nothing.
Thursdays are probably the freest night on the school side in the wintertime. Just if that, again, it's not just school people we're looking for community. So I'm just suggesting that that's one of the freer nights of the week.
That Thursday is probably good for on the town side too, because I don't think that's a planning board night. It might be a zoning board night, but otherwise I think it's probably Thursday might be the best night. All right, so why don't we target that and we can discuss it and firm that up when we get into
Thursday the 5th.
January, Thursday the 5th, and we'll do like a 7 o'clock thing and try to do both virtually and in person. At the high school sound good to everyone? Great.
If it's all right with everybody, I could submit a placeholder to reserve the space.
Yeah, please do that. But don't describe it too much because.
Oh no, this would just be to
Yeah.
this would just be to Lean
Yeah.
and Kerman to have the permit in place so that nobody else can book the
Okay.
space.
And can you, Jeff, you don't work for the committee, you work for the schools and Dr. Baeta, but so maybe I should address this to him. Who's best to coordinate making that a hybrid public forum so that we can field questions, so that we can hit as many people as possible?
So once we have the date and the time, then Jeff's office and my office can happily coordinate that on behalf of the building committee, with all of the scenarios, links, and all of that stuff. Happy to do that.
Awesome, great. And I guess that would probably be W.T. Rich's first official unveiling to the community, other than a building committee meeting. Great. If there's nothing else for new business, anybody else on new business? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Second, Joe Buckley. I'll run through the roll. Dr. Baeta,
Aye.
Joseph Buckley,
Aye.
Fran Brutonetti,
Aye.
Tom Coulter, Steve Cavey, Jillian DeStefano,
Aye.
Diane Dolan,
Aye.
Jake Dorr, Leo Fay,
Aye.
Also, Eric, can you record for the vendor invoice package? Jake Dorr did chime in that he voted yes.
Yep.
Leo Fay, Sandra Gropey, Craig Horsfall, Lynn Jarden,
Aye.
Melissa Lynch,
Aye.
Julie Miller,
Aye.
Katie Monahan,
Aye.
Anne Marie Raymond, TJ Recupero votes aye. Dennis Rego,
Aye.
Mark Tisdale. Excuse me, Mark Tisdale isn't here. Joe Walk.
Aye.
And before I announce this last name, I did have one last thing. I'm sorry. Courtney, you mentioned that our December meeting, we wanted to push that date to the third Wednesday as opposed to
For the January meeting.
for the
to push it
January,
to
I'm
the-
sorry,
yeah.
December meeting, for the January meeting.
Mhm.
I just wanted to highlight that while we're all here.
Thank you.
So it will be meeting on the third January, a Wednesday in January. And Pat Yanikowski.
Aye.
Sorry, Pat, I had to hang on your name.
That's okay.
Okay. Good night.
Thank
Thanks,
you all.
everyone.
Bye.